Hey everyone, it's Dabacab here. The video I posted a couple days ago about the importance of staying positive and treating positivity as a skill got a lot of positive feedback, so I thought that I would respond to that with another video. It's kind of a follow-up. First, I talked about the importance of staying positive. Now I'm going to talk about, the opposite. Avoiding becoming negative, avoiding playing on tilt, because it happens to all of us. I try really hard to stay positive, but there are still times when I just get frustrated and I play badly, and it sucks. It sucks that as much as we try to stay positive, it just doesn't always work because we're humans and humans are emotional sometimes, and sometimes the emotion can get the better of us. So I thought I would discuss a couple of strategies that I use to try to, just sort of cleanse the negativity out of you. When I recognize that I'm playing on tilt and that my gameplay is being affected, I sort of go down this checklist to just get rid of this negativity in my system and come back to the game refreshed and energetic and ready to win. So first off, I really like to game in a positive environment. That for me often involves a beer on my desk and friends on voice chat with me. When you sort of cultivate a really positive environment, when you play with your friends, if you're old enough, if you grab a beer, then you just sort of create this gaming environment where it's kind of hard to be negative, because you're playing with your buddies and the beer sort of leveling you out a little bit. So I think that's probably one of the easiest things you can do to avoid negativity, is sort of nip it in the bud. Play when you can have fun with other people that you care about. If you're having a really bad day, like if you were at school or work and you just are exhausted and you come home and you really want to blow off some steam, then maybe Overwatch, maybe League of Legends, maybe Dota, maybe Counter-Strike are not the ideal game for that. You're probably better off going with a much more mellow game like World of Warcraft or Hearthstone, something like that. I do that too. I love Overwatch. Overwatch is my favorite game of all time, probably. But, if I'm feeling stressed, an FPS is not always the best solution to alleviate that stress. So I'll just, boot up Hearthstone and play some super relaxing arena games, or boot up WoW and just run around and do some quests, because that's a really chill way to mellow out. And then once I'm feeling more even, I can go into Overwatch and try and play with a better attitude. Secondly, another good strategy is to try to avoid your triggers. Like, understand what it is that makes you frustrated, because once you know what's going to make you frustrated, you can avoid it. Let's go with a really common example. Some people really don't like to play against Mei, and if that sounds like you, then an enemy picks Mei and they freeze you and you die, and then they freeze you and you die, and that can become really frustrating. If that happens, rather than just getting angrier and angrier every time you die, a better solution would be to specifically play a counter to Mei. That way, you don't really have to worry about being stressed out so much. Like, if Mei's giving you trouble, switch to Zarya, switch to Reaper, switch to Pharah. All those characters do a pretty reliable job of dealing with Mei, so then you just sort of avoid any negativity that stems from that gameplay by, directly countering it. You're destroying the thing that makes you angry. For me, actually, my trigger is chat. If people are complaining in chat, I've learned from experience that if I take the bait and I argue with them, I will get tilted super hard. So I avoid it. I just either don't engage with negative people in chat, or you can actually see this on my YouTube channel. When people are critical, I either try to be really humble and be like, oh, you're being critical to the channel, what can I do to be better? Help me understand your complaints. Or I, try to diffuse attention by telling a joke, usually at my own expense. Or, just trying to make things lighter. I know that's my trigger. If I take the negative route, if I start arguing with them, I will just get tilted and it'll get worse and worse and worse. So I just never engage in online arguments and negative chat. That's my trigger, and I avoid it. So that's another good way to just sort of nip it in the bud, I think. So those two strategies help you prevent negativity from happening, but still, nonetheless, sometimes it will happen. So next up, we're going to talk about what happens if you're negative. What's the best thing you can do? For me, sort of the first thing I always try is to just tab out for a couple minutes. Just alt tab over to a browser, just sit out for a couple minutes and try to just take a breather. Go to your favorite websites, Reddit, Battle.net forums, Rule 34 Overwatch, whatever floats your boat. Just taking a couple minutes can actually do wonders towards just getting that negativity out of your system. Because in my experience, negativity is kind of like, it's got inertia, right? Once you're in the negative mindset, you want to continue in the negative mindset. You want to be negative. You want to say negative things.
Nice.
You want to do negative things.
Nice,
you want to make others feel negative too. I mean, there's a saying, misery loves company, and it's absolutely true if we're playing on tilt. So the only way to get rid of negativity really is to just stop it. You have to stop that inertia and do something else. For me, typically, if I just take a couple minutes out and just, go to Reddit or check my Twitter feeds, see how many views I've gotten on YouTube, respond to a couple comments, that's a good way to just sort of stop the inertia and change your momentum to something else. Just sort of return to a baseline position. Next up, the most important thing, I think, is don't feed your tilt. I mean, there's the phrase, don't feed the trolls, and that applies to your inner troll as well. If you get angry and just, like, let's suppose that some guy in the enemy team is just, he's calling you out for being a bad player, and he's trashing on you, and he's killing you left and right, and he's teabagging you, and you want to just tell him to go fuck off or whatever. I mean, I understand the temptation. I'm with you, man. I've been there. I've said that stuff. I've let my inner troll sort of bubble to the surface and get really frustrated and express my frustration at other people. But this is the thing. It never, ever, ever helps. I mean, think about it. We've all been angry on the internet before. We've all been frustrated. Has there ever been a time in your life, ever, where you were pissed off at someone and you typed out something in chat expressing how terrible they are and how much they should, go off and die? And then afterwards, did you feel better, or did you just stew in it? Did it just sort of make you focus on your negativity? And that's like the thing that you're thinking about, is how angry you are and how pissed off. And more than likely, because, it is literally impossible to win an argument on the internet, what ends up happening is you'll, complain to them and they'll just complain back to you. And the nature of internet arguments means that the person who's winning is always the person who spoke last. that's just fact. It doesn't matter how right you are or what tactics you use. It's just the last person to speak has the upper hand, because they just ignore everything else, and that's what's relevant. There's really no way to win. You either just be angry and talk about it and say how angry you are to everyone else, which means you focus on your negativity, or they say something negative to you, which just sort of makes you feel negative again. So if you get tilted, just don't feed into it. It's the single worst thing that you could do when you're feeling negative, because it just makes it worse. It really does. Agar's been talking. I appreciate the positivity.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
From a Reaper, no less.
You reap what you sow.
Next, this is something I've actually been doing a lot more since playing Overwatch. Not because Overwatch makes me tilted or angry more than other games, but just because I feel like FPS games, especially Overwatch, can be so intense, so like high adrenaline, and it requires so much focus that it's just really easy to kind of get tunnel vision and lose perspective a little bit. So I think getting up from your computer is just a great way to clear your head and sort of hit the reset button. And I mean, I'm a gamer, so I realize what it's like to want to game. You're out at work, you're out at school, and 5 o'clock rolls around, you're like, oh, I want to go home and play video games for like 5 hours. And that's all you want to do, and you just want to get as much gaming time in as possible. So you don't want to get up and take out the trash, and you don't want to leave the computer. You just want to be a gamer and just play games nonstop. So I understand that sort of urge that happens sometimes, but realistically, I try to look at it like this. So which would I rather prefer? Would I rather prefer to play for 30 minutes, angry and frustrated and losing because I'm playing angry and frustrated? Or would I rather play for 20 minutes and, do it in a positive and a good mood, and then spend 10 minutes, checking the fridge for some snacks, saying hi to your roommate or girlfriend or whatever, or just, walking your dog, just sort of spending a couple minutes out doing something else? And the answer is always 20 minutes of positivity. I mean, what's the point of playing the game? What's the point of playing Overwatch if the game is making you frustrated and angry, but you get to play it more? That's sort of a trap way of thinking that just ends up ruining your gaming experience. So don't lose perspective of your time. Yes, I understand that we all want to play video games as much as possible. But there's also the quality of that gameplay experience to consider. So if your quality is going down, just get up and do something else. It's the single best thing you can do, and also the most time intensive, unfortunately, to just get that negativity out of your system and come back to Overwatch in 10 or 15 minutes, refreshed and positive and ready to win. I'm curious to know what you think. If anyone else has any other strategies to sort of cleanse the negativity out of your system and get off of playing on tilt, let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm always trying to, improve my gameplay, and as you know, I think positivity is a skill, and avoiding negativity is equally a skill. So I want to develop that skill as much as possible because it will help me win games and be better at Overwatch. So if you have any advice to share with me or the other fans of the channel, please let me know in the comments. How do you get the negativity out of your system? All right, thanks for watching. Just a reminder, please hit like and subscribe if you like my content. I'm trying to get commentary videos more established, so the more positive feedback you can give YouTube by, liking and subscribing, the better my commentary videos will do, which will help me sort of get established as a commentary channel, in addition to my montages. So thanks for watching. Dabacab out.